Rowan, I couldn't do that at 27. No nonsense, straight to the point.
Saying, Rowan, I couldn't do that at 27. No nonsense, straight to the point courage detail. Finally happened. The lawsuit they thought would quietly disappear just handed down the most expensive television judgment in U.S. history. Karoline Leavitt didn't just win. She detonated a cultural bombshell so loud, so disruptive that ABC and The View are now facing what insiders call a slow-motion corporate collapse. $800 million. That's not just a lawsuit. That's extinction-level damage for daytime TV's most controversial talk show. Whoopi, silent. Joy, missing. Sunny allegedly lawyering up again. And Karoline. Oh, she's walking like she owns the media now. This isn't just a win. It's a media reckoning. This isn't just accountability. It's karma with a microphone. And now The View. Once the queen of daytime ratings is staring down a brutal reality. Bankruptcy. Stay locked in because what we're about to uncover is pure chaos. We'll take you deep inside the downfall. Every twist, every email leak, every desperate plea for settlement, and show you how Karoline flipped the power dynamic on its head. Before we start, smash that like button if you're done with media hypocrisy. Hit subscribe to stay ahead of every explosive update. Did you just subscribe? Awesome. Let's unpack how The View went from TV royalty to courtroom tragedy. There is so much good news, so much winning out of the Trump White House right now that the mainstream legacy media can't keep up with it. The moment the gavel dropped and the $800 million judgment became reality, it wasn't just The View that felt the tremor. It was ABC's entire financial ecosystem. Within minutes, the shockwaves hit Wall Street like a sledgehammer. ABC's parent company, a media titan once seen as too big to fail, saw its stock price nosedive. We're talking millions in market value wiped clean before lunch. Traders were spooked. Analysts were baffled. Financial news outlets switched gears mid-broadcast to cover the unfolding collapse. CNBC cut from its tech segment to report unprecedented judgment devastates ABC's market stability. That sound, it wasn't ratings, it was alarm bells. By the time Karoline Leavitt's legal team had their celebratory coffee, the fallout had already begun. Inside the skyscrapers of Manhattan, advertising executives were pulling plug after plug. For major sponsors, names you'd recognize from every commercial break on daytime TV. Cut ties. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Immediately. One network insider described the panic like this. It was like watching a dam burst. Every second someone else was pulling funding. The phones wouldn't stop. It was a bloodbath. Ad buyers went silent. Scheduled campaigns vanished. Planned product placements gone. The entire revenue ecosystem that fueled The View's multi-million-dollar production was suddenly evaporating. It wasn't just a hiccup. It was a hemorrhage. But it gets worse. See, most networks have crisis insurance, an umbrella to catch legal fallout, especially from talent meltdowns or unscripted chaos. But here's the thing. The policy excluded intentional defamation, and Karoline's win was built on exactly that. Intentional, premeditated, and orchestrated character assassination. Translation: no safety net, no corporate buffer. This wasn't an oops, our lawyers will fix it situation. This was the Titanic hitting the iceberg, and the ship wasn't insured. ABC's finance department melted. Emergency meetings were called. Legal teams were brought into boardrooms like first responders at a 10-alarm fire. Executives scrambled through balance sheets asking the same question over and over. Can we survive this? And that's when the most feared word in corporate America started to circulate. First in whispers, then in panicked phone calls, then in leaked emails. Bankruptcy. Yes, that word. A junior staffer from HR texted her friend in graphics. They're whispering Chapter 11. This isn't a drill. And they weren't wrong. Behind the scenes, HR quietly froze. All new hires. Department budgets were slashed overnight. Scheduled travel for panelists and producers canceled. Security around the studio cut in half. Even catering saw a downgrade. From gourmet lunches to boxed sandwiches and black coffee. And still, Karoline Leavitt said nothing. No press conference, no celebratory post, no cryptic subweep because she didn't have to speak. The silence from her end was deafening, and it was doing more damage than any microphone ever could. while ABC's financial empire began to wobble while executives scrambled to keep the building from metaphorically catching fire. Karoline simply watched, calm, composed, untouched. The View wasn't just in hot water. It was drowning. And the woman they tried to humiliate on live television, she was now the storm. Stay tuned. This is only the beginning. And this right here, this is where the storm truly begins to unravel the empire. Because once that $800 million verdict dropped like a legal guillotine, the spotlight didn't just hit ABC. It zoomed in hard on the three faces that had come to define The View. Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and Sunny Host. Let's be blunt. These weren't just TV personalities anymore. They were liabilities. Overnight, the media darlings became public paras. Their legacies vaporized, their credibility pulverized. Their futures hanging by threads that even the best PR team couldn't untangle. And while the world watched the network descend into full-blown chaos behind closed doors, a more brutal drama was playing out. One by one, the co-hosts were called in, not to a glam green room, but to somber legal briefings where lawyers laid it all out with surgical coldness. Each woman was told in no uncertain terms they could be personally on the hook for a piece of the $800 million judgment. Let that sink in. Whoopi. Gone was the swagger. According to insiders, she immediately retained a crisis management firm known for rebranding disgraced CEOs and politicians. Yes, it was that serious. Joy Behar, the queen of snark and sass, stopped attending production meetings altogether. Emails unanswered, calls ignored. One crew member even joked, "It's like she ghosted her own scandal." And Sunny Host, the show's legal eagle, the one who always had a hot take and a sharper comeback, broke down. Sources say during a private consultation with her legal team, she cried. Not performative tears, not for cameras, real raw panic. Because she knew this wasn't just bad press. It was professional ruin. But it didn't stop there. Karoline's legal team, as we now know, didn't just build a case. They constructed a demolition plan. They rolled out a brutal dossier of Slack messages laced with premeditated malice. Video cuts showing hosts mocking Karoline during commercial breaks. Internal producer notes that literally instructed who would land the hardest punch on air. This wasn't a spontaneous exchange. It was orchestrated character assassination. And that's where The View's entire defense collapsed in on itself. Their lawyers tried spinning it as unscripted banter. But the paper trail told another story. Every smirk documented, every insult time-stamped, every wink, every cue, every rehearsed takedown labeled and logged. Then came the nail in the coffin. A leaked video filmed after the taping and never meant to see daylight emerged from deep within ABC's archives. In it, Joy Behar can be heard laughing backstage with a producer, holding a coffee cup, and casually tossing off the line. Let's see her sue us for that. The arrogance, the audacity. Well, guess what, Joy? She did. And she won. The clip was played in court. Jurors reportedly froze. One juror whispered, "That's cold." And just like that, whatever sympathy The View's panel hoped to preserve was atomized. In one sentence, Joy managed to summarize everything wrong with the modern media. The smugness, the recklessness, the complete disregard for consequences. They really don't like this woman. She's a good communicator. And so Joy Behar just offered her analysis on why Leavitt was picked for the role. Karoline's silence in that moment said more than any press release could. This wasn't just about winning a lawsuit. This was about accountability finally catching up with arrogance. And the hosts of The View, they weren't just falling. They were free falling with no parachute in sight. More fallout ahead. And yes, Karoline is just getting started. Let's take you now inside ABC headquarters because what happened behind those closed doors might be even more jaw-dropping than the courtroom itself. Picture it. A sleek glass-paneled conference room, rows of executive chairs, a 40-foot table that once echoed with confident pitches, laughter, and smug certainty, but now silence until it wasn't. One insider described the scene as, quote, a corporate funeral. Another called it the single most chaotic executive meltdown in ABC's modern history. The moment the $800 million verdict hit, alarms went off, figuratively and literally. An internal security notification triggered after multiple senior staff attempted to access sensitive financial folders simultaneously. ABC's crisis response team prepped for scandal, But not catastrophe found themselves frozen in disbelief. Let's break it down. At 2:01 p.m., just minutes after the jury announcement, the first emergency boardroom meeting was called. The subject line, immediate response, lawsuit verdict. By 2:15 p.m., the top brass were seated. Suits, legal counsel, PR heads, showrunners, even a few Disney stakeholders joined via encrypted Zoom. The air unbreathable. One executive pounded the table so hard a car of lemon water toppled. We let this happen. We enabled this. Another reportedly trembling threw a legal packet across the table. This is bigger than Don Imus, bigger than Roseanne. This is legacy-level fallout. That was the moment a junior assistant from legal burst in holding an envelope.